Okay, so today is the 13th of November, and this is the Friday session. So we have a few rules when we have these meetings. And first off, a disclaimer. So as I told you earlier, I'm in the process of being a representative of the Venus Project, but I'm not there yet. So whatever I say here, you have to, it's not a direct source. I'm still working on that. Oh, let me just see. Stefan, is that you that joined? Let me see here. Do you guys know who that? There's somebody that joined us. I think that's Stefan.
Stefan joined you. Hi, guys.
Oh, hi, Stefan. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. So I'm so happy that you joined us, because I was thinking that let me just do these rules and then we can do a presentation. I always forget that we can, present ourselves.
Okay.
So
I'll let you do that. I'll mute now then.
Yeah, sure. So just the rules here first. No, we don't promote other things here. So if you have anything personally that you feel very excited about, this is not the appropriate place for it. Here we talk about the Venus Project. And we don't talk about conspiracy theories here. And the reason for that is because the subject is difficult enough. So we try to focus on the Venus Project and talk about those ideas. And if you feel like, let me jump back here. If you feel like volunteering or you want to assist us in any way, I can get you in contact with the right people or what you need to do. But that we can take afterwards. And this place, it is really not, we don't have time for deep dialogue. What I see my role here is that I'm here to assist you. And you don't have to accept anything I say. I'm just here and you can toss out your questions and I'm going to give my perspective on it. And if you don't agree, just say, tell me. I really appreciate it. If you would tell me, I don't see the connection or I didn't understand that. When you do that, that means everything to me, because then it means that apparently I wasn't able to connect with you and I need to think about my answer. That I take that responsibility. If you feel that my answer was lacking, I never put it on the person I'm meeting. It's always my responsibility to answer your questions. So let me know. So let's do some presentations. Roz, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Let me turn off this.
Yeah. Okay. I'm reasonably old, reasonably married with various children. I'm a dad and a granddad. I say that because some of my grandchildren are older than my youngest child. With respect to the Venus Project, I suppose I first got involved probably sometime around the early 2000s, in the noughties perhaps. I mean, I'd heard of Jacque Fresco probably back in the 90s. Hadn't really investigated it too much, and then when Peter Joseph first met him and promoted it a little bit before warping it, I became more involved around then and did some research, watched plenty of movies, listened to lots of the old interviews and such, and as I said, got involved with the the UK people when they were doing their thing a couple of years back. Aidan, yes, his name, Aidan Fry, I believe, was the main UK TV point of contact at the time. And then Mick Pettinger was there, and Ludus, I believe, was another chap who was heavily involved. And yeah, I got to know those people. We had some long and interesting chats about the Venus project. We went through the frequently asked questions that were posted on the old website and discussed them on a weekly basis. And yeah, it was great learning.
Did you meet every week?
Yeah, it was a fairly regular thing. We did, like I think there was 100 plus frequently asked questions. So
Yeah.
that was probably about 2 years worth. And I think I missed the first 2 or 3 months, but I was there for the majority of the rest of those discussions. And, we thrashed out some interesting thoughts on what was going on, and very much as you've kind of really, I believe, insinuated from what you were saying, it's a learning process, and I was very much enjoying listening to you explaining a little bit about yourself and how you did the transcriptions and such, because that obviously is helpful to have to read all that, to transcribe all that. You get to know it perhaps a little bit more personally, so I thought that was rather splendid, to be fair. I'm one of these people who I'm not, I guess, like I'm not, I'm obviously not affiliated with the Venus Project on any level, but a lot of the ethos that seems to go with all the ideas doesn't really seem, like outrageous to me. It seems like, well, yeah, that's kind of obvious. Why aren't we doing it? I know some people have a hard time accepting how a world could work without money, and how we could all interact for mutual benefit. But personally, from my point of view, for the whole of my life, I've struggled to find how we can't do that. Why are we not doing that? It seems more awkward than the resource based solution. It's just seems bleeding obvious to me. Yeah, it really does. It just jars me, and I understand also that to enable such a change really does require, a critical mass of some description. Otherwise, it does tend. I mean, I've watched as the UK chapter has sort of built itself up and was like quite strong, and then sort of fell apart, and sadly, I could have kind of predicted it, because the chaps that were at the helm at the time were young and enthusiastic, and I say the word young, I mean, it's a very broad word, isn't it? They, in their 30s perhaps, some were in their 20s, but 30s was a very popular age to be very enthusiastic and really have a lot of energy to try and make something happen. And of course, you can give all your energy to this for all your life, as Jacque did, and very little might happen. So, it's perhaps a struggle sometimes for people to actually really live it. Especially in a world where living it's not what's encouraged. That's an interesting position we find ourselves in, I believe.
Yeah. Can I ask you, thank you for that. Can I ask you, how many people used to come to those sessions?
It could be, like tonight, 5, sometimes 10. I think we had like 15, 20 people in at one point. And this was, what were we on? We were on Google Hangouts, I believe it was at the time. And so that's, we even managed to facilitate a method, a rule for who was going to speak. We used to put asterisks in the chat, so like you knew whose turn it was. So we didn't all talk over each other.
Yeah.
And occasionally you'd have a gentleman or a lady in who, as you sort of stated in the rules, was very enthusiastic about their ideas that weren't perhaps completely akin to what the Venus Project would like, and they were desperate to share them. And I remember there was a gentleman who came in once who apparently he was a cousin of the Queen, and so he was going to tell her, and the whole world was then going to be, a resource-based economy. Of course, nothing ever happened of that, strangely enough, but you can put a lot of energy in. You have to put it in the right places, obviously. Actually, while I just think of it, because I posted it on the Facebook site as well, and I just wanted to put it forward here as well, because like most things that are in the news, it happened and then disappeared. But I do believe Sir David Attenborough and Prince William are doing that Earthshot thing where they want to give money to good ideas for the environment, for the world, etc. Are the Venus Project going to put forward the Venus Project proposals to that? Because it's unlikely that you'd get any money out of it. It's unlikely that they would go, oh wow, what a brilliant idea, let's implement this. But Sir David Attenborough, Prince William, they're fairly big figures, for some unknown reason, but they preach that they're wanting to save the world, save the environment, and a resource-based economy would certainly be beneficial, in that area. So it sounds to me like it would be a perfect platform to send them what the Venus Project proposals are, or at least a brief précis, if one can actually make a brief précis of something so big. But I would have thought it doesn't hurt to put it out there to people who are incredibly well connected, and if they said, my God, what a good idea, could actually influence some very high profile people.
Yeah, there are lots of those things. So we have two problems with those, is that based on my experience, they're not looking for something to rock the boat. They just want a nice innovation. I remember there was a guy from India, and he wanted
I actually agree. And I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, sure.
But
no
I
problem.
do agree. I know it's not what they're looking for. But for me, that's not necessarily a reason for them not to see it. Yeah. And I do know as well, I'm very familiar that Roxanne and Jacque were very cautious over who they were to share their work with. Yeah, and I know how much Peter Joseph sort of ruined a lot of things with his attitude, and I know that is something to be aware of. But I do think that the more people that know about it, the better, because as like here, where you're happy to answer questions for the people that are interested. For me, I still believe that it's getting people interested, so it's getting the word out there. And my biggest, probably my only criticism, in fact, my only criticism of the Venus Project is that when you're new to it, it can feel kind of exclusive because when you have it's obviously it's all about education, but as we know, you can't force these things upon people, as Jacque would have said many times. You can't force this thing upon people, because it won't work that way. So we need everyone to start thinking differently, and the only way people do that is either by a bloody great big war or influence. And so I do think that getting it out there is very important. But yeah, I do understand that that's not what they're looking for, and we wouldn't win a prize. Yeah, I do get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically it. Can I just ask you as well, what have you been doing? What's your background, so I know.
I I I've been a musician. I've been a computer engineer. I mean, more recently, I'm just being a dad and a granddad. My partner's actually at work. Um, I still do, bugger about with computers, and I still jam and make music fairly regularly. Um, did a backing track for a Venus Project thing, I think, at some point. I believe I was credited. I don't know, and I don't care. Makes no difference, But yeah, so I've done music. My daughter's a psychologist. She's recently qualified. She was an accountant. Yeah, I mean, I've just lived for 50 odd years and thought, boy, this sucks. Can we not do it different? And most of my life experiences led me to thoughts that seem to be um, they, my opinions seemed to coincide with the Venus Project's aims and ambitions.
Mm.
Yeah, I've made very little effort and probably will continue to make very little effort to learn the rules or learn the script or learn, but it seems that on a large percentage of things I tend to agree with Jacque's philosophies and principles, and they seem quite obvious to me.
Mm.
So just through my own life experiences, I guess, but then that's kind of who I am. I like I say, I can read music. But I don't have a qualification to do that. I've played various musical instruments for many
Okay.
years. I'm not very good with the
Okay.
paperwork.
No. Okay. Thank you, Raz. Thank
No
you.
worries.
Okay. So Heyo is actually Palle. Can you give us a short intro?
Yeah, I'm Palle. I'm 33 years old. I'm single. I don't have any kids. I live in Sweden. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. I'm just popping in to check this out, I guess. I've seen a couple of the movies from the Venus Project, and I'm interested in learning more. I've studied a few various subjects on a university level, but I don't have a diploma in anything specific. And right now I'm at a point in my life where I'm just trying to reinvent myself and figure out what to do with the rest of my life, I guess. So yeah, I'm thinking of becoming a carpenter right now, and that's where my mind is at. So yeah, we'll see. And I'm just interested in learning more. So
All right.
yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Hey, Kaden. Happy that you joined us. Perfect timing. So give us an intro. Tell us about yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My name's Kaden. I'm a massage therapist, and I've been interested in the Venus Project since for about 5 years now. I learned about it through, actually, I don't even remember how I learned about it, but yeah, that's me.
Okay. Nice to see you again. Okay, Stefan.
Me? Do you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I'm Stefan. I also live in Sweden, much like Palle, aka Heyo, and Peyman here. Okay, I guess I can go again. I think most of you, except Nick, has met me before. But I also stumbled into the Venus Project via the Zeitgeist movement and that kind of stuff. I sort of felt that the Zeitgeist movement was very focused on the problems and telling you what's wrong with society, and maybe that's a good thing. But it doesn't really help a lot unless you also come with a solution to the problem. And what the Venus Project did, or Jacque did, was to provide a plausible solution, or at least an attempt at one, saying like, hey guys, why don't we do this instead? Here's all the stuff that's wrong with the way we're doing it now. This is a basic way that we can move ahead and solve the problems that are facing us today. No, not that there was a plan to get from point A to point B, really, but rather a design of what the future state would be. So what me in my mind I'm struggling with is, that step by step. Well, we've talked about it in this forum before. How can we get from point A to point B to such a future? Because we all see the problems that are here. And the conclusion basically has always been that, we have to wait until, I can paraphrase here, until this particular world order or system or socioeconomic system is pregnant with the next one, meaning that there has to be kind of an evolution where, the first requirement is that enough people are, in fact, aware that there is an alternate way to do things. Today, typically, if you criticize capitalism, for instance, people automatically assume, he's a commie. All right, well, that's not true, because there are lots of different ways to arrange society, and not just two. I feel that we've fallen into a world of projected dualities where you have, if it's either this or that, you're for me or against me. If you're not a Christian, you're a Satanist, or, et cetera, et cetera. I see that. That was the strongest impression I had when I was in the US. In Europe, it's a little bit more faceted, but it's still there. And I would very much like to see an open discussion in the public about options. What could you potentially do? Jacque Fresco has been on Larryking Live. He's been in a number of TV programs from CBS as well, where they did a review of the Venus Project, which I think is great. I mean, it reaches a lot of people. And I'm looking right here at The Choice Is Ours, and that's 2.4 million people have seen that movie, and that's just this particular upload. So I think we probably got a few more million that have seen it. So people are getting the message, or at least creating awareness. But my hope is that eventually we can discuss more in depth of what's it going to look like. That's my hope.
All right. Thank you, Stefan. Juan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I have a little dog in the background. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was wondering. I thought it was your microphone.
No, I'm sorry. I'm listening. Thank you.
Okay. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Is that okay? Can you give us an introduction?
Yeah, my name is Juan Jose Cervantes. I'm a born I'm Mexicano. I was born in Mexico. I came to the United States as a child and educated here in the U.S. My background is architecture and real estate. I've been always fascinated watching the Jacque Fresco, just all these series and his philosophy and his architectural designs. And I've been a student of his and just on my own. And so I saw this little Zoom gathering. I just wanted to participate and see how we can all, like droplets of water unite and make this a reality. So, I'm here and I'm blessed to be here. Thank you.
Okay, very happy to have you here. Can I just ask you, how much material have you watched? What have you watched?
Quite a bit. I do have the Venus Project, let's say, entire library.
Okay.
And yeah, so I have all of his books, and well, not all of them, just a few of them from his library.
Yeah.
A lot of his videos. Yeah. Well, I've been intimately involved in, again, my background is architecture, so as you can imagine, this is something I've embraced from
Yeah.
long. Pretty much started in 2009, really intensely. After his passing, I regretted, and never ever meeting him or traveling to Florida. But I've always been passionate about kind of in the sidelines. But I am a member of the Zeitgeist movement, the Venus Project, and again, just a bit about myself. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. All right, David.
Oh, hi. David Medina from Caracas, Venezuela. I knew from the video, I have been a little involved and now more in the Venus Project since 2016. And yes, there are a lot of aspects of the Venus Project, especially on the social manners or social issues, let's call it that way, that require deep understanding. So I realized that a few years, well, not a few years, from the last year, actually studying on the orientation process. And yes, I have, let's say, convinced myself that the Venus Project proposal aims and goals, they're not for the short run. They are for the long run. That does not mean that each day we can do a little bit more to get to that goal. But this is not a slow, a sprint or a little race. No, this is something that will take some time because it's an entire project that involves too many things, which implies, and I think one of the most important is change people's mindset. For some, will understand and accept that real fast, but for others, will be a 10 years project or even more. So based on those concepts, let's say, I decided until now that the Venus Project is what mostly everything that it proposes is better for humanity and for all of us. But we have to realize that have to study it at slow pace, understand it, invite people to join, but we cannot make short-term expectations because it's not going to be so fast. This project of this magnitude will take some time, and I think Jacque knew that once he designed it. So I feel okay with that. I try to do a little bit every day, these meetings or other meetings with other teams, and one day at a time I go.
All right, thank you, David. Peter, are you there? I know Peter is working. I think he's busy.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. So my name is Peter. I'm the regional coordinator for TVP Support in Australia, and I help out a little bit with the global teams as well. I've probably known about the Venus Project about 2-3 years and decided to do a bit more and learn a bit more about it. So I'm here, and yeah, I get a lot from these groups and the weekly discussions that we do as regional coordinators. So I keep coming back.
All right, thank you, Peter. So Juan, I'm just going to give you a short intro. I already gave my intro, but I'm going to give it for you. So I learned about the Venus Project in 2010, and I looked at all the material I could get access to, and I started to hold these kinds of sessions in Sweden. And I did that for 2 years, and then I went to Florida and met Roxanne and Jacque. And when I was there, I was interested in getting access to more material. And I told them that I would transcribe if they would give me that access. And I did that for 3 years. So I got like 400 extra videos, and those, you know, I still listen to them. I listen to them every day. You know, that's what I do. That's my, you know, instead of listening to music, I listen to that. And I'm a regional contact, you know, for Sweden. And at this time, I'm going a course to become educated so I can represent the Venus Project. So I have the stamp of approval that you know, they can send me to represent the Venus Project. But I'm not there yet. So I give a disclaimer for today. So whatever I talk about, it is not official. But this is, you know, based on 10 years listening to all of the material, like 400 lectures, and been discussing this topic for many years. But still, I don't feel I'm finished. You know, I don't have perfect answers for everything. But whenever you ask a question, it means everything to me, because it gives me a reason to go back and listen to the material and say, hey, how would I say it in a different way? As I mentioned earlier, I take responsibility for you not being able to understand what I'm saying. I never put it on you and say, oh, you don't get it. It's my responsibility to, you know, get this across in a way that makes sense to you. Okay, so these sessions, you know, it's open for questions. And remind me, I think we're going to go 1.5 hours. And let's see how many people drop off. Usually nobody drops off, but remind me. Let's not go over that. That's enough. But if you have to go, just write in the chat or just let me know. Okay, so Pelle, you asked a question. Would you like to start with that?
Yeah. All right. Let's see. What did I ask? How do we make the transition to the point where we can actually spend our time doing this, being part of the Venus Project and having a resource-based economy? So I guess my question is about the transition to getting there.
Okay. So usually the way we have been brought up is to have an image of a particular person that draws people in a certain direction. So we look for politicians, for leaders that say, oh, this person is going to show us the way, and then we can go towards this direction. The way the Venus Project looks at it, it isn't a particular person. It is the circumstances that create the new, let's say, the new events. So when we look at Hitler, we don't look at him as the person that created that. We see him as an outcome of circumstances that gave him the opportunity to speak in a certain way, which people at that particular time said, that sounds like a great idea. But if he would have spoken 10 years earlier, they would say, shut up. 15 years earlier, we're going to kill you. But in that particular time, those ideas were accepted. So the things that we see will change are that this economic system, you don't have to do anything. It is designed to destroy itself by automation. Automation is the main factor that will change this system. When you have a company, you want to reduce cost. So you want to get people out of the company to reduce their cost. If you can automate it, that means I don't need to employ you anymore. I have this machine, it can do your work. Please exit. What happens the more that we automate, then people have less money in their pockets. So now they can't purchase that which is being sold to them. So you will have high production, you will have the capability to produce an abundance, but nobody can buy it. And that's the way the system kills itself. It doesn't have to do anything with people protesting or holding up signs. It's like playing Monopoly. If you keep rolling the dice, there is an end to the game. One person is going to be the winner. They will own all the hotels. And then usually everybody gets bored and says, fuck this game, you know. And that's the way we view this, is that as long as you're playing, the money is going to go towards the top. Now, the millions of people underneath, they can't buy it. They don't have money. So the game ends itself. And unfortunately, you have to wait for it. It is very rarely, I don't have a good example. Let me know if anybody has a great example of society saying, hey, trouble ahead in 10 years from now, let's fix it today. They say, no, wait. And then when it's 2 years too late, they say, let's do something. That's how long. It's because this society, the way it's designed, it is not to solve problems. It's designed to wait. The longer you wait, the more money you're going to make. Oh, now we're going to come in. Funding, please. So the longer you wait, the more problems you have in this society, the more money you're going to make. So that's how I usually answer that question. I have no idea if that makes sense, if you connect with it, or if you see problems with what I'm saying. You have to let me know. I have no idea if that resonates with what I just said.
May I throw you a curveball?
Yes, please.
Well, so one could argue that there is a race, right? A race of automation. When is that going to be completed to the point where you can actually effectively change something? And will that happen before other events happen? We can imagine climate-driven migration and the destruction that could cause. Just like you said, I don't believe that in this particular social order we will take adequate actions to even if we can't change the climate, deal with the changes that are coming, right? Take Europe, for instance. We've got the entire Middle East of 380 million people living there, and North Africa. When that's not particularly easy to live there anymore, well, it isn't today, but let's say it gets really hard. Then where are they going to go? North. They're going to go north. We had trouble with a pittance of a few poor people from Syria. There's a couple of million. There's like a handful of million people that left. That was not a huge deal. Can you imagine when 380 million people move? That's going to be a challenge. We can plan for it today. I mean, you can make a choice. Either we build housing or we build walls. But as you pointed out, we have chosen and will continue to choose to do nothing, right? Symbolic act here, symbolic act there. In Stockholm, where you live, Payman, let's close Bromma airport because airplanes are bad. That's symbolic. It doesn't actually do anything. I mean, if anything, it probably means airplanes have to fly a bit further to Arlanda. But yeah, so that's kind of the curveball I'm throwing you here. Do you have infinite time to wait?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is not that, we don't determine how long we wait. Jacque Fresco doesn't determine. It is not in our hands. It is the circumstances that pulls people in these directions. And if they have been brought up to self-destruct, then that's what you have to deal with. As we have mentioned, we can't force them to see a different way. There has to be circumstances that tells them, oh, I'm going to do it differently. Because we're not sitting on a button and saying, oh, I'm going to push it now. Now they're ready. We don't have anything to push. So it will only work if people have the need for something different. But if they don't have it, that's when you just run it until, you know, it's not sustainable anymore. But nobody has a button in the Venus project that says, let's begin. The world must give us the room to expand. They must say, we want change. We have tried socialism, we've tried communism, it's not working. Now we're open to new ideas. What is the Venus project? Okay, here's the money. So it isn't that I'm saying that we're holding on with our capabilities and say, oh, they're ready for it. We don't have anything. You know, there is nothing. You know, here I wanted to organize this. We get 10 people. There are 25,000 people in the TVP International. It's because the circumstances, life is okay. Then they say, it's a nice project, but I got other things to do. It is when I'm not eating, that's when I start looking. I didn't work for 2 years because we didn't need to. I didn't need to economically because my wife was making enough money. And then she lost her job. I got a job in 1 month. But before that, I wasn't motivated because I didn't need to. I wanted to spend time with my kids. But when circumstances change, oh, suddenly my ass is moving. The example I give is this with Corona. I think I told you this, but I'm going to share it with other people. It's like going to Donald Trump 2 years ago and telling him, hey, why don't you give, I think it was $1,500 or something like that, to everybody in the United States. Just give them $1,500 free. You say, no, why should I? And then the virus comes, and then circumstances change, and they say, here is $1,500 free. But before that, you couldn't get that through. The same with Bernie Sanders, with socialism, the way he talks about it, that was not accepted. You know, he was not allowed, you know, they always pushed him down. But suddenly this year, it was okay to toss this around, to say, I'm a socialist in the United States, which has been taboo for so many years. And that is because of the circumstances. Then people listen and say, what was that? Because I'm not eating. That system isn't working for me. Now I'm looking. But as long as I'm eating, everything is okay. Yeah, just put up the wall, whatever, as long as I'm eating. So that's how I would try to answer that. It isn't in our hands. If it was, we would be pushing it every day, but it really isn't. We just have an idea, but we need a world that is looking for new ideas and approaches, or else they say, no, not interested.
So what about building an example city? Is that a goal? Or?
Yeah, of course, it's a goal, but that's the question, you know. To want to do something in the world you have today, it has nothing to do with what you want. It has to do you have the resources? Who is going to fund this? Building a city the way we would like to build it costs very much. Who's going to fund that? We had a person, I think it was 1 year ago, that contacted us and said, you could have this place, this land, which I own, you can have it for free. If you want, you can build your city there. That's how this will happen. That somebody, for some reason, says, I support this direction. You can have this. Now, this place that he offered was unfortunately not appropriate because it was too off for us to, you know, we don't have anything else. So we just have a plot of land. We can't do anything with that.
It was in Siberia, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. So we need that. And even if we got that in the perfect spot, right in New York, you know, the green field in New York City. That's the spot we get. But now the next question is, how are you going to build it? Do you have any funding? No, we don't. Then it stops until somebody says, here is, 5 trillion ton of cement. Let me know when you need it. So there is no, yeah.
Can I just throw something at this? Yeah, because this, if you like, test city idea seems to have been thrown around for quite a few years, and there's various levels of enthusiasm to build a test city. I think for me, one of the biggest problems with a test city is we're looking at something that is a global solution, and it's not like a new housing estate where you can put up a show home. It's very hard to have a test city where we're looking at resource management. So in order to have a test city that was fully functional, you need all the resources. So literally the test city was fully functional, and at that point needed no one from the outside world in to manage it, and it would almost become like an us and them situation. Here's a beautiful city that's harmonious. Nobody has to do anything that's over strenuous. Everyone's, all the needs are fulfilled. And then there's the rest of the world. There's someone, like you just suggested, like you said, in Central Park. So like if the trillion tons, because people keep on saying about money, you don't need money, do you? You need resources and manpower. Money is irrelevant. If you've got the resources and the manpower, it can happen. And if the people are willing to do the work, then and if everyone's fed because there is food, again, there's no need for money. But if there was a beautiful haven in Central Park, I can see that the rest of New York could be bashing down the doors to get in.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was, if you built, if the Venus Project was, if like TVP UK and Ireland built a city in UK, and in fact built the whole of the UK, became a Venus Project island, you've got the rest of the world that would be like, well, we'll have some of that. We'll all come. It stops it working. In my opinion, it's a great idea to have an example city, but you really need an example world. Because
I think you're saying that there are some huge challenges to build a example city, and I would say moreover than that, you will, given these conditions that exist today, you will need vast amounts of money to get started. And the reason isn't so much just the labor and the materials, it's legalities, like who owns the chips that you're going to need for your computers, right? So Sony isn't going to give that to you. Samsung isn't going to give that to you. Under certain conditions, like Payman pointed out, they will, because we either do it or we die. Or you have some pet project of someone like Elon Musk, where he decides, hey, let's build one. Not going to work here on Earth because everybody's going to not cooperate. But hey, some scientists on Mars, maybe that'll work.
That's what it would be. I imagine that in Mars.
Well, obviously, you're not going to end up with a Martian currency, right?
Yeah.
Mars seems more likely than Earth in the way Earth societies work at the moment, for sure. But I do think, the point you raised is correct. We need the circumstances to actually force a situation for people to look for another solution, and sadly, again, it's a global thing, and you can't take any landmass and make the whole of that landmass a perfect harmony when the rest of the planet is in the state it's in, because it simply doesn't work. You can't have
Was there nothing left in the box?
You can't have a world, I can't have a world that is safe for my children unless it's safe for all children. It's one of those things. You could, I could feed all the children in Great Britain, and the world is still full of starving children. You have to solve the problems globally, and in order to solve the problems globally, you have to look at global cooperation. And obviously, our society is not based on that. It's almost based on one-upmanship. Oh, we've got this resource, you can't have it unless you do that. Oh, well, we've got this, oh, you can't have that. It's almost the leaders, the world leaders and their interactions, the global economy is still in the playground. It hasn't grown up yet to become educated and do things wisely. But as we as a species get older, as we also near the global events that you suggested may push the timeline along a little bit, there's the possibility that the fact that we're here, only a small number talking out of the many people that are on the page, there's a lot of people who are more open to change. I've over my lifetime, I've spoken to capitalists who would not accept the Venus Project on any level, but would still go, but it's not right. The money needs to be shared out better. And I point out to them that when they were saying that, they're basically saying that the resources need to be shared better. Because that's what the money gives you access to, tokens for the resources. So although they were, oh no, you can't, the Venus Project, we can't share everything, we can't share resources, we can't have a computer making decisions for us, they still wanted a change because their beloved capitalism was broken and not working. So it was encouraging to me that people that really wouldn't accept such a thing as a resource-based economy are actually aware that the system they love doesn't work properly, and they'd like to be able to do something about it. They're afraid of losing their mansion and their yacht, but they do actually want to feed. Not all the rich people don't want to feed the children. It's people want a better life. So things are always changing. It's been one constant throughout human growth. So there's.
Can I interrupt you, Raz?
Of course, yes.
Thank you. I just want to bring it back to the city. Is that the city? If you design a city, it is just, let's say, like a museum. It would be like in the beginning, it's just to demonstrate, how life could be different living there. Just to show people. Now, if you would have a functional city, the way I imagine it is that it would be like the Red Cross, that it isn't there to say, fuck the world, here we are enjoying life. It is to constantly go out and say, what can we do for you? This is what we have. That's what the Red Cross does. It takes its resources and goes into areas, says, we're here to help. We're not here to do anything else. We're here to assist you. And they let them in. And they don't kill them and say, we're going to take your tents. They say, that's something separate. And that's what the Venus Project is in the beginning. It would say, we're here to assist you. And they say, why are you doing it? Because we feel that if we have a joint venture, we will be able to do much more than just separate nations. So we are here to assist you. If you feel that this is working for you, help us with your resources and we will, go to the next place. But it isn't, this separated place that says, now we function, here's the beginning of civilization and we're going to push everybody out. No, we have to bring them in. So it's going to be constantly showing what the possibilities are. And when you have the resources to really do change, then you get out there and constantly assist people. And that's a way of demonstrating and getting people into it and say, oh, They don't just talk, because when they have it, they share it.
Do you think it's possible that you can influence people in that direction in your day-to-day life by the way you interact with, you know, the people at the post office, the supermarket, with the people that you have to pay your gas bill to? Do you think that, you know, you can do that? Yeah. But I mean,
so me personally, this is my personal. I like to create a space for it like this. That's how, because that's how I am as a person. If somebody brings up a topic, how we're going to stop violence, to me, let's say at the lunch break at work, to me, that's a 2-hour discussion. And I don't think most people are interested in letting me talk for 15 minutes and say, hey, let's stay for one and a half hour more. I'm not finished, guys. So to me, I don't like those bits. I want to say instead, oh, are you interested? I have Friday sessions. Why don't you come to those? And we will discuss it if you're really interested. That's how I am. Now I'm going to give you something that Jacque Fresco said, which helped me to look at it in a different way. The way he looks at it is that he views people as blind in the sense that they can't see. So if you would have a blind person that is confused, you would try to assist them. You would say, watch out for that tree. You would take their hand and you would try to lead them as long as they give you that permission. So that's how he phrased it. That's how he views people, that they're blind and he's trying to assist them. And if you have that view, I think it will be easier. Even if the blind person says, let go of my hand, you say it's okay, because you can't see the way I'm seeing it. You can't see it. It's okay. But if you allow me, I'm going to try to assist you. So if you are a person that views people in that way, and if you see the opportunity and you like to bring in your 2 bits, then I think you should go for it. But that's not how I do it. I rather create a space for them and say, I'm going to talk a lot. And I'm going to talk about a subject that is difficult, but I need that time. I have had it is very painful for me when I only have a few minutes, because I feel that I don't get anything across. I really don't. That's my feeling about it. So, but I know people are different. David, you want to say something?
Yeah, I would like to add, fully agree with what you said. And I think I imagine in Jacque's initial moments when he was promoting this direction, I think he encountered many similar situations, many rejections and all of that. And I think that it's very clever when he says a 10-year project. I now fully agree with that phrase. And going beyond that, in most of what Ras say, education towards this direction is a must. It has to be done, of course, maybe, as you say, in a place when you have 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to expand the ideas. I think that's an interesting approach. But that's not the only one, of course. There could be others ways to approach people and invite them to take a look at this proposal. And I think that's something that could be done in a daily basis. It's well, in Jacque's time, there was no social networks, internet, all of that. We do have these tools now, and I think it's a way we can promote it better and get the message out there. And I think it's an everyday task. So working in that direction, I think will have results. People will realize that capitalism is going nowhere. It will destruct itself. Exactly when you explain the monopoly game. That's what's going to happen eventually. And or maybe a climate crisis or this pandemic situation can speed up certain events. That's true too. But I think us here, we're a little more aware of all of these potential situations. And I think we can continue with our, let's say, our duty, you know, in promoting it.
Okay, Dad, did you want to say something?
I have a couple things. Has the Venus Project ever considered talking with other RBE like programs to kind of build off of what they've already created as well? You know?
RBE is a term that was created by Jacque Fresco. Do you mean groups that come into the Venus Project and then do something else?
Either or. I mean, they hear about resource-based and they try to develop their own type of system as well.
There is a lecture, if you ever have the opportunity, in one of the lectures that they sell. It's from the old lectures. And that is that he talks about how people come and take some things and make it their own. And what happens is that when they take something and say, you know, whatever, I'm going to take the bits that I like, then to me, they are not looking to understand the subject. They want to reinforce a particular way of thinking. For example, what Ross mentioned when he said that this project is not about a city. I met a lot of people that say, hey, let's go and build our own community. Let's go and, you know, create our own city and live in the woods. And then they have taken some bits of it and said, let's do it this way. But it is really, it has nothing to do with a resource-based economy. But somehow they see it in a totally different way. And I think a person like that is not seeking information. They're seeking reinforcement for their particular way of thinking. So what I do is I join these groups that are on Facebook, and usually they're just a place of whatever you want to say it. But it isn't a place for education. And I have great difficulties, you know, talking to them because very few of them are seeking to understand. So that's the main problem I have. And even going to other groups, such as, let's say, a group that calls themselves futurists. Even if you join those groups, they have a particular way of looking at the future. And they don't say, come and rock the boat. The same with, if you would go to a group that says, we're here to save the whales, and you say, I like cats, let's save the cats. They say, that's not our group. Whales is what we're doing. So there's a disconnect. There might be some people that are interested, but usually the group atmosphere is that everybody's doing their own thing. This is my experience from groups that take the concept and make it their own. If you would want to be a doctor, there is a particular way to go about it. You can go about it the way you want to, but the world says that's not how we do it. They say, stop. Great enthusiasm, but this is the appropriate approach for this time. And this is the same for the Venus Project. You have to go to the source. If you want to learn about a subject, especially a new subject, imagine Edison when he came out with, let's say, electricity. It's a new subject. I don't want to get into who came up with electricity. It's not about that. But a new subject, yes, you can say, you know, you can have your personal interpretation of what you're viewing. But if you want to learn about it, the best way is to go to the source, learn, and then expand. I would find it highly acceptable if I went to one of those groups and I found the person being highly educated in the subject and they have found a new approach. And I say, oh my God, I didn't think about those things. I would call the Venus Project, I'm sorry, I'm out. Because or I would say, hey guys, we need these people, or we should go to them, because somehow they have reached, let's say, better conclusions than we have.
I posted I posted a link in the chat to the partners of Venus Project.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. Also, I wanted to ask too, do you know how many funds or resources that the Venus Project actually has? Like, how much do you know what I mean? How can we get anything accomplished? And also, like, how much do we have?
No, I don't know. I don't know exact numbers, but the way I look at that question is, how much do we need? I had a person here in Sweden, which is a very successful person, and she talked to me and said, how much funding do you need? And I said, well, it's not about what I need, it's about what you can give me, because this project isn't, we're not making chairs, we're changing the world. So the question to me is not, what do you need? I need everything. That's what I would like, all the resources. So don't give me that question, what do you need? Tell me what you can give me. You can give me $10, thank you, I'm going to take that. You can give me $1 million, let me know if you have 2 million, because there is no cap. Everything that is taken is supposed to go to creating something much better. So we don't have a cap on it. But if you would give us, if a person would come to us and say, here is $1 million, what are you going to do with it? Then we can say, we're going to do this and this and this and this and that. Is that okay? Then we yield. Is that okay that we're going to do this with the money? They say, okay, that's fine. Or no, it's not fine. We would like to see you build a house to demonstrate. Okay, we do that. We can budge on that if they feel like we would like to see this. Yeah, no problem. But tell us what you're going to give us, and we're going to tell you what we're going to do with it.
I think there are a lot of architectural designs available that could be used. And if you had some resources, they could be implemented somewhere. But you would need some funding to do that.
Right.
Let's say Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation wanted to create housing in some poor part of the world. Well, why not build these kind? They'll stand the tooth of time. Then there's a benefit to the people that use it. There's a benefit to the people who are funding it. And there's a benefit to the Venus Project as well, because you get to test this design in a new condition.
That's what I was hoping to see. Yeah. I was hoping to see something. Yeah.
I hope that soon we will have the chance to do smaller things like that iteratively, because part of influencing isn't just making a movie or talking like this. Part of influencing is also showing with some examples, but small examples is what you can afford.
Yeah. Because I was even thinking, like, because I know that there's like a big focus on the Center for Resource Management. What if you make it like maybe a third of the size in like a impoverished part of some country, and kind of like, and people can come in and see it in actuality. I'm sure it's been talked about, but
let me say a few things about this, but I'm going to talk about something else, but it's connected to this. The problem you have in today's society is that there is no goal in mind for society, where they're going. They might say, be successful. You say, great, I'm going to burn the Amazon and make a lot of money. And they say, no, don't do that. Think about nature. You say, okay. And then you go out living in the woods. And then they take your kids away because they say, what is this? You can't have kids here. So people are very confused regarding what they're supposed to do. If you're too successful, half the world says, no, that is too much. You shouldn't have 100 billion in your bank account. So there is no prime directive, where are we going, the direction. So if you would create a very nice city for the poor, and you would educate them in today's society. Now, these people that become educated, what is reinforcing them in the normal world is to go out and do business. So they become great business people. Profit is the main driver. So now suddenly they're making profits. Now they say, hey, fuck Africa. Let's take all of their resources. We know how to do it. We got great businessmen. Let's, drain them. So it's a huge, this project isn't focused on particular aspects of this society and say, let's fix that or fix that. What this project is to say, if we tackle it all in a different way, we can tackle all the problems at the same time. But we're not here to demonstrate one particular aspect of it. For example, I've seen people that build boats that go into the sea and try to pick up all the shit. And they get a lot of funding for that. But to us, immediately, we wouldn't build a boat, never. We would say, why are people dumping shit in the ocean? And then we go there and we say, oh, these are the people. What are the circumstances that gets them to put the shit in the ocean? Oh, it's saving them money. So they are not the problem. They are functioning in this system to become something, profit, whatever. But they are not the problem. The system is the problem. So that's what our problem is. It always leads to, we have to change the system, or else you're picking up shit, but the world is dumping in more shit, and you have your boat there, and you say, we picked up 500 ton, and 1,000,000 ton is going in every minute. So that's the way we look at it. That's what most people don't like, because what happens is that there is no reinforcement. There is no good feeling about this project that, look, we saved these children. They were starving. We saved them. There is no good feeling about it, because we're not tackling that which gives you a good feeling. You will have a great feeling if you will see it. Then you see, oh, we saved the world. Then you get that reinforcement. But until then, you will just see the problems and the struggle. Our goal is so far that you're not going to get a daily reinforcement of this heart feeling, oh, I helped another person. But to me, this is the real thing.
I totally agree with the root causes. Like, you got to solve that. Being a massage therapist, when someone has neck pain, they're like, oh, just work right here, and I'll work there. The problem's not there. It could be in your ankle. It could be anywhere else. So I understand that, like, root causes need to be solved, but I feel like there needs to be a more human aspect to the Venus Project, because it feels kind of like cold and robotic in a way.
Yeah, science.
Distant.
Yeah, it does. It's because we have been brought up to feel that it is distant.
But maybe people don't even want to listen because of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think, Caden, you have a bit of a point there, because like Payman, you say there is no good feeling reward short term. That would be an explanation why there are not 50,000 people on this call.
Well,
right?
I think there has to be a different approach too. Because when you approach certain type of people, you gotta approach them and give them something that could be of their interest, But as Pechman says, we're trying, or the Venus Project is trying to attack the whole, not just part or a bit of it. It's the whole, but it's not easy to understand. But I think that he has to be a little bit related to the approach and explain more than 15 minutes, of course.
It's like
that
almost, yeah.
You know, and in some way, what Pechman says that the ship is picking up all the shit in the ocean. Well, I think we have to. It goes beyond. It's really big. You know, as I put in the chat, root causes. The root causes are many, and in some way, we have to put that in evidence to the people. Hey, these are the root causes of many problems. Let's attack them.
Yeah.
We can do it this way.
As a consultant, I would say to that, because I face the similar arguments often, why something is too difficult to accomplish in the near term or midterm or whatever. And what I usually say is you can't boil the ocean to get a cup of tea. Meaning that you can take iterative steps, which would then be rewarding to people, which is what Caden was talking about. And these kind of rewards where you feel like you're making a difference, it may not matter to the end result, right? You might gain some experience. You might gain some experience, but the chief benefit for TVP in doing that would be that more people would want to be involved and listen and learn. It becomes sort of a PR activity, if you will.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking too. And I actually I don't want to change the subject unless someone else has something else to say on this.
Oh, let me say one more thing. Let me say one more thing about this. Okay. So in today's society, somebody does an operation and they say, there's 99% chance you're going to die. And this person survives. And they say, thank God. Because we have been brought up with this notion of these miracles, or the person that works with the person, but the priest comes in and holds their hand, but doesn't do anything. He just holds their hand. And we have been brought up with, oh, that's such a nice thing to do. But to us, the warm person is the scientist. We have been brought up with the opposite, that it is the kind person with the kind words that is warm. To us, they are the cold people because they do nothing. The scientist comes in, sees people dying and says, oh, I wonder what it is. He doesn't touch the children. He goes and sees, oh, it's the water they're drinking. He fixes the water and then he exits. He says, I've done my job. But he doesn't go to everybody and holds their hand and say, I did this for you. Just does the work. And they say, thank you. He says, don't need to mention it. So we have been brought up with this. This is the attitude of the scientist. He just stands up and says, this is it. This is what we need to work towards. He tries to inform them as best as he can. I know that when we have more resources and we have our PR team, yes, we will have those great commercials where they zoom in on a child's face and say, you know, starving, dying. We will have all of those because that's the game that we have to play. But I'm trying to give you the real thing, which is, don't let them.
Oh yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah, there's a benefit chain here, definitely. I think that you can, because initially you have to be attractive to people in this condition, today in this society. And what makes them attracted are the ideals that you've been brought up with today, just like Payment said. And it could be worth doing that if you want to have a greater population.
Right. Yeah. And being a massage therapist, I work both with comforting a client and also using my science and like mechanical skills to work with them. So you have to keep them comfortable, but also you're healing them at the same time. So it adds that warmth, but also it's medical. Like it's going to be painful, but also I'll help you through it. Yeah. And you're going to feel so much better at the end. So you're still getting to the root cause. And you're also, and they're going to tell more people about you. Like, yeah, that helps the business, but also massage can help you. So that's how I see the Venus Project in a way. You see what I'm saying?
I want to give you a different different. And the reason I do that is that I'm not trying to, I just want to be clear that I'm not
Right.
putting it down. I just want you to get a different approach to it. The way I imagine it is that a doctor that is really concerned with people, that he can't sleep at night. You know, he says, I have to help these people. I can't imagine this person working with individuals. He would say, he or she would say, it is the system that is making these problems, that these people have, you know, they have to pay for their healthcare. When in the US, when they say, you know, don't take me with the ambulance, I'd rather have a taxi because I'm going to get a bill. You would be concerned with that. Say, I have to get them quicker in there. So this person would not tackle individuals. He said, there is no solution. Even if I'm the best doctor, there's a million people with problems. I have to tackle the system. And that's what the Venus Project is. It is that it seems that like it's cold, but to me, it's the greatest warmth because we're trying to take it all in. So that's just a different approach to it.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I'm just saying, like, to try to get other people to be interested. That's all.
Well, there's there's a trick to get people in the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a sales pitch. And as counter to what you may actually want to do, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It may still be a necessary thing to do.
Jacque had he was talking to his group, and he said, people wonder why I don't have millions of people in here in these sessions. It's because I don't want a million people. I want people to know what this is about. I don't give them the priest sales pitch. I don't give them that I give them the best way I can, the most honest way of telling them what this is about. So yes, there is a way, but if you, let's say this, today we try to inform people about what this is in an honest way. And a lot of people that listen to it don't know what it is. Even though we're clear, we're trying to be as clear as possible, as direct as possible. They don't really understand what it is about. So if we would be unclear, I think it would add to the confusion. They wouldn't know what it is. They would get this, you know, this is the Venus Project. And how am I supposed to focus with that, Stefan? Okay. So that's what the problem to me occurs, is that even if I'm direct and I'm trying to assist as best as I can, as humane as I can with what I have learned, there is still so much confusion. Now, if I would add confusion to that, I don't think I'm going to get anywhere. So let's continue. Give me the next.
Oh, I have one last thing to point out. I had this idea too. I know that there's a 21-week course orientation to be a regional coordinator. Is there any other like workshops to actually, I was actually thinking like something like Skillshare, like almost like a nonprofit school system where people can pay in to learn technology and the science of the Venus Project, or just technology in general. Is there any idea like that?
Have you heard anything about that, David? Or Peter, do you know anything? Peter, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. As far as I know, they want to work on something like that, but at the moment, their main focus is archiving or the transcribing of all the materials so it doesn't get lost. And I believe once they've archived that, they can put the idea was to put it into like a course, an online course, so to speak, or even an information course, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Because if there's something like low budget or, you know, however much you could pay in, the youth can really get involved. Because I know a lot of people want to get more into technology. And I think it'd be a really cool, like, to help people get through schooling, whatever they're doing, you know, if that's their passion.
Caden, have you seen the Khan Academy?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, that's free. and it's 5-minute sessions of science and everything you'd want to know, basically.
Okay. Is that, you know, with the Venus Project, or is that a separate thing entirely?
It's completely separate. It's just
So that
people helping you learn math, for instance.
Okay.
What are you going to
yeah,
say,
the
Peter?
Khan Academy is beneficial. Yeah, so I say it is beneficial, the Khan Academy, if in the meantime. But yeah, I suppose what I'm trying to get at is that we've only got limited people, obviously. So, you know, we can only do so much. And I said it's on the drawing cards, but in order to be able to do it, as far as I know, is that they need to have like a base of information to pull from, if that makes sense. Because at the moment, there's like they said, the 800 lectures there, but there's no, you know, there's no transcription, so you can't pull anything off of them, if that makes sense, and like go into like an index and say, okay, well, this is the subject I want to look into or put into a course, and you can just look it up. I believe that's the idea of putting all that information there and then building on it. Like, you know, it's never a fixed thing. So once that information's there, people like Pageman and Theo and that would build on that, you know, as they learn more.
I just have a real question. Would the youth, since, you know, people being grown up into this, we want them to be interested in the Venus Project. Would Jacque's lectures be interesting to them?
It's difficult, you know. If you would have come to me, you know, at the wrong time, then I couldn't connect with it. I've said this before, but when I listened to Jacque for the first time, I didn't connect at all. I found him highly annoying because I was enjoying the zeitgeist. I was like, who is this? What the fuck is this? You know, what is he talking about? I had no connection to him. But, you know, circumstances or whatever, I don't know. So yes, of course, there are maybe some people, but, you know, we don't have, you know, an exact formula. That's why I'm always interested to hear how people found out and what kept them interested. You know, many people watch 2-3 videos, but those that listen to more, I wonder what happened to them. You know, why didn't they just stop after 2-3 and said, that's enough? But some people continue. And
surely you've answered that question because they're a victim of their own circumstances.
yeah, something, yeah. So that's the formula. We're not sure, you know. Yes, they might be interested, but at the same time, what this is really is, to me at least, what I noticed with people that stay with this subject is that they really enjoy it for themselves. They enjoy learning about a different topic that isn't reinforced, but only to themselves. They say, I'm growing. I'm learning many things. And then they go to the real world. There is no, you know, money. There is no applause from normal people. So
It's interesting. I mean, yes, of course. The reason I've been around for a couple of years is because I enjoy the topic. I enjoy digging and I enjoy learning more about the different things. That's why I'm still here. I do know other people that feel, you know, of course, this is interesting. When somebody's actually proposing an active action to move in that direction, I'm all for it. But right now, I feel like there is nothing that I can do. So I know about it. Okay, good enough. Well, now I'm going to go have a glass of wine, right? Because you can't change anything. At the same time, I do recall a good Fresco quote. You know, don't say that you feel that you can't do anything, or you can't change the world. People that say that you can't change the world, I believe that's a quote.
those are the ones that, yeah.
That just means that you're not one of those who are going to.
Yep.
Right. I mean, so that what's the difference between now and when we can actually do something? I think those are two key elements that need to be there. One, you've already touched upon, Payman, and those are the circumstances, the level of automation primarily, right?
Yep.
And the second thing is an awareness of an alternative, because I guarantee you the first thing that's going to happen when the shit starts breaking down is those fingers are going to start looking for someone to blame, right?
Yep.
And it's going to be the wrong color of the skin, the wrong party, the wrong country, you name it.
These
That's gonna be the
fingers of
reason.
ours have got us into a lot of trouble because it should all be doing that, but it's
Well,
always
look
pointing
at
that
this.
way. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
How many are pointing back at me?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
So-
yeah, 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 yeah.
So that is just something that's going to happen, and the more people that are aware of the alternatives that are out there, the better, because the greater the chances that you're actually going to get down to business before you kill each other, right?
Mhm.
So that's our responsibility. That's why I always take the opportunity to talk about it. Somebody asks me, what do you think about this? Well,
Yep.
this is what I think.
Mhm.
You know, and yes, Palin, I'm never going to get to the bottom of it, but I always invite to another discussion some other time as well. But I will challenge them, and I say, no, this is what I think. You know,
Mhm.
just like Jacque Fresco did when they shot Bin Laden. People ask me, hey, they got him. Isn't that great? No, I think it's completely pointless. What? Why are you saying that? Well, because it is. The conditions that created him in the first place, they're there. They're still there. There's going to be another one, and another one, and another one. So I think it was stupid.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
that really gets people's attention then, right?
Yep.
And maybe they're willing to listen. And I usually point them in the direction of the website.
Mhm.
I do actually. When I'm speaking with people and they perhaps ask me my opinions on things, um, you know, the one thing I do actually try not to ever do is disagree or sort of say no to them, you know, on their opinions, because you know someone's opinion might appear to be wrong or uneducated as far as I can see, or but it's their opinion, and you know, I'm always interested in people's opinions. Sometimes I like it when they try and justify their opinion. That often makes me laugh
Well, when
because
you have,
you know, because you really don't need to justify your opinion because it's your
Right.
opinion. Yeah, I mean,
Nick,
if you could justify it, it doesn't make it. It doesn't give it more weight just
Mhm.
because you can justify it.
well, Nick, when you have a lot of time, you can certainly spend it by just asking questions until the argument just cannot go any further,
Well,
right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, when Jehovah's Witnesses turn up on my door, and I used to work with a lady who was a Jehovah's Witness, and she was lovely, yeah, and we got on really well. Um, Even to the point that when I wished her Merry Christmas and she got angry with me, I pointed out to her that if I'd have said, "Well, Merry Tuesday," you wouldn't have minded, and uh, and then she realised that I wasn't trying to insult her. I wasn't not respecting her wishes. I was just carrying on with my own. You know, and so we understood each other. But I love it when Jehovah's Witnesses come to my doorstep because I lay a resource-based economy on them, and they don't like it, and they leave. I mean, you know, you may have noticed I can probably just talk for the whole of England if you let me, but the you know really
The poor telemarketers.
yeah, I honestly, I love the Jehovah's Witnesses because I ask them questions and try and influence them, and you know, eventually they go away because they're frightened. Sometimes they get angry with me, and I sort of point out to them that they're getting agitated, and it seems strange because they're holy, and you know, where does that fit? You know, and
If you actually want them just to leave quickly, ask them to pray with you.
yeah, yeah. Well, this is the
They're
thing.
not
They're
allowed to
very,
do that.
they're sadly their opinions and ideas are often very closed, you know, and I don't wish to you know, this it was a very generic statement, and really they're all individuals. And as I said, I worked with a lady once who was a Jehovah's Witness, and she was beautiful. She was a wonderful human being, yeah, and she did not let her beliefs get in the way of being a lovely human being. Because, you know, as human beings, we can let our beliefs and opinions get in the way of just being sort of kind.
I think you have a right to any opinion that you can defend. So I do ask.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I, I, I think it's interesting, the defense of an opinion. Because if you, I mean, like, why would you need to defend it? I mean, if it was wrong, would it matter? If I told you the sky was always a bright green, I mean, we all know it's wrong, but does it matter that I believe it's green and you see it as blue? I mean, how would it affect our day? You know, sometimes, you know, it depends, obviously, you know, on the situation. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Obviously, you don't challenge people you don't have time for, you don't have the motivation to talk to. I mean, if you're tired or you don't have time,
no, of course.
Is, right?
Yeah. Of course, yes. Yeah. You know, I mean, you don't interact with people if you're tired and don't have time, because your interactions won't be positive, will they? You know,
Are you wanting to say something, Caden?
Oh, it's kind of a change of the subject. Kind of, I mean, it's all about the Venus Project. How
Continue.
far along? Huh?
Continue, please.
Oh, how far along are we doing with the VR, virtual reality? Because that would be pretty impactful.
Yeah. So those are always, you know, somebody has to do it.
Right, right.
And I don't know if we have a particular person doing it right now. Peter, do you know? Give him a second to get his phone out.
Well, sorry, Peter, continue first.
No, please, David, it was me.
Okay. As I have heard and I have read in the agenda and a few months back, sorry, and there was a company or a person, anonymous, that donated VR equipment for exactly what Katie is mentioning. And I think there is one or two persons working at it, but none have specific information. But at least they do have the equipment totally for that task.
Okay. Cool.
It was donated by the company that made them.
I found a link here, virtual reality simulation. They're a new project at the Venus Project has been started. Okay, so there is something there.
Because that could help educate as well and make it more interesting for the youth as well.
Yeah.
And everyone who doesn't want to see it in 3D.
Yeah. To be like, I want to live here. You know, I'll do whatever I can to destroy the root causes and live in this new world, you know? I don't want to say new world, but
in, so you're talking about having a 3D simulation of what a city could look like?
Yes.
Yeah, they're working on that at the moment. I know the VR team is. Are you part of that team yet, Stefan, or not?
No, I'm not part of the VR team. I'm part of the software team right now.
Yeah.
But I'm open to assist wherever I can. Yeah. Yeah, I know they're working on that kind of thing. I know they've got one. Well, the guys have gone, the regional coordinators, to the centre last, said that they had a simulation set up with a VR set. But I know they're working on more, like a more in-depth one. But that I couldn't tell you exactly where they're at. I'm not part of that team, but all I know is that they're working on it. I suppose the difference is, you know, it's something that we have to get used to. Majority of people that are volunteers. It's only really Roxanne and Nate that are full-time on it. So obviously our timeline, what would happen in a private industry is going to be totally different in a mostly non-profit organisation, if that makes sense. So, you know, maybe a VR in reality might take a year or something, but this may take many more years because you're relying on volunteers, obviously. And that, as I said, at the moment, the funding's aimed towards getting the information like categorized and archived so they can use that for a base. Because then, you know, the thing is, we go off and you build a city or something, and then you haven't got your foundation in place for the information on the mindset, you're wasting your time. Honestly, yeah, that's what I think anyway. Just, you sort of, there's a process of
things you need to do first, and having the information available and accurate to me is one of the most important. And then you build on from that. You can build your educational courses. You can build bigger, software facilities or something, programs.
Yeah, that sounds rational, Peter. Caden, you had a number of questions around the funding and stuff like that. There is actually a proposals for funding if you want to get involved. There's a number of teams there that are contributing what time they have to do a variety of different things. You can get involved if you want to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I looked at I looked at the website many times. Many times.
Okay. So do you guys have anything else you want to bring up? Any thoughts about the Venus project or something?
I had something I was thinking about, and this is more just from my particular angle of everything, because of course I'm a consultant and in the IT field. So I actually, just for my own entertainment, started writing some scripts and things for open source software, and also porting them over as best I can, because I'm a crap scripter in PowerShell. But I did start moving some stuff over there, just because people who do want to help out, you need access to tools. I know there used to be a tools team at the Venus project, and this isn't the agreed upon thing for me to do, but I was doing it anyway. So, and that's just simply to provide some easy apps, if you will, to get access to a whole ecosystem of stuff. So let's say you chose to install Ubuntu or some other flavor of Linux on a laptop that you happen to have, or you wanted to accomplish that. What I'm trying to do is just provide a very easy way to get into it and get access to free tools. Because in my years working in the field, I have seen there's a huge amount of readily available software out there for you to use that's top notch, and people aren't aware of it. You sit there on your old laptop and it's whatever your company gave you or whatever you bought in Best Buy, maybe, or Elgiganten if you're in Sweden, right? And then where do you go from there? Where do I get these cool tools to do things that I want to help out with? Well, that's what I'm trying to do, is make easy access to that. So if any of you want to try something out or help me test, let me know.
Okay. Thank you for that, Stefan.
Awesome.
David, did you have anything you want to say?
Well, no. I think what Stefan mentioned is very important, because yes, we're actually going to need new tools and more people that can join this volunteering to keep spreading the word about this proposal. And I'm just trying to figure out how. Well, it's an open question here for all. If I do have a chance to contact a businessman that has let's say he's some kind of mini Elon Musk, he has quite money. I know him from about 10 years, and I would like to approach him about this proposal. And he's a very intelligent guy. He made a big company. And I think this direction could make him turn around and take a deeper look in it. But of course, there has to be the correct approach, because it's not business or money I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about something else, something beyond that. What are your thoughts?
Why don't you ask him first? Are you interested in social change? Are you interested in other things? Do you think he is?
I think so. I just gotta give him something concrete. And if he is interested, we can go from there. But of course, if he's not interested, we should not waste our time, or in my case, not waste my time. But I think he has, or he could. I think he has, because I know him, and he has, let's say, this social touch. Let's put it that way. I don't know. I'm just throwing words here, but I need an approach to not lose the moment. I will have to appoint a meeting. I will go to his office and I will talk about it. But of course, as I said, no business, no money, social innovation, social change. But I think I can add something more. So
So
open
David,
question.
are you asking what approach could be helpful in stimulating the interest? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is correct. Based on
Those,
others people experiences, you, Stefan, as a consultant, and with Peshman, I think you're a teacher in a university. I know many skills can be used to try to achieve this. I think I can bring in him, or he can donate. Maybe he will not be directly involved, but he has money to donate. I don't know. Something could happen. I really think, but I have to give it a shot.
well, money in any extent would be helpful, I think, because then you can hire people to do things that need to be done, right? As we've discussed today. But yeah, let me think about that. How to approach it. I mean, I think it's kind of your average sales pitch. What if I told you that you could? I think for people in a position where you're become extremely wealthy, you start thinking more in terms of what's my legacy going to be. I consumed a hell of a lot. No, nobody's going to like that. I made my business even bigger. Oh, okay, maybe. But you look at people like Elon Musk and Bill Gates, for instance. Those are multi-billionaires today. Well, they want to do other things beyond just getting. They have their own pet projects that they want to be remembered by, right? Why could one of those pet projects not be the activities that we do here? Let's say you got some cash. That would mean that you could hire people to write software. That means that you could hire people to do the translations and the transcribing and stuff like that. It would speed up events. But I understand it's also kind of counter to the spirit is business, right? So
Very good. I'm
that's
thinking.
my
I'm
thought
thinking.
anyway.
Good luck. It's
Can
difficult.
I just add to that? Sorry.
Yeah, go Peter, please.
If I'm in business. That's what I do. I do business, and a lot of my business friends or whatnot, acquaintances, we have had a lot of discussions recently that, like, what do we do it for? Why do we sacrifice all this time, or time, health, and whatnot? And that seems to be a common thing happening a lot. We people, to get money, generally need to sacrifice a lot of time and livelihood, pretty much. So maybe that could be an angle to get at. Does he have that same view? Does he spend a lot of time, or she, at what do you call it, in making the money, and then you get to the point where you retire, or generally you're 60, and then you're too old to do anything with it, or you die prematurely. And I've found that it's happening more and more frequently. A lot of the people, acquaintances I have, are questioning, why are we sacrificing so much of our time for shit we don't really need or want, really, with society that thinking that we need this nice car, or we need this house, or we need this, when in true you just need access to shit, pretty much.
Yeah, that's a good discussion to have, because I can reflect over that as well. A lot of people that I've worked with, they question, why am I prioritizing the way that I'm doing? And that kind of lends itself into the discussion of, okay, well, because those are the conditions under which you've been raised and brought up, these are the value systems you have, and that's why you're making these choices. And it's at least a very interesting discussion. I can imagine your discussion, Peter. I've had them myself with a large number of people, I would say, and they one thing leads to another, and then you start covering more topics, I think, which makes it even more interesting, because then you get into you should see people's faces when I tell you, you haven't made a single choice in your life that isn't influenced by someone else, including your wife, including this, that, the other. And people get a little bit offended at first, but then when they have to prove that they actually made the choice by themselves, and then it kind of snowballs from there, just like your discussion.
Yeah, don't get me into the free will debate. I love that.
No, but I mean, that's a foundation, right? I mean, it's behavioral science, like it has been stated before. The number one technology that we're missing today is the technology of behavioral science. I mean, we're not anywhere near good enough at it. Marketing companies are fairly good at influencing people to do things, and they certainly have budgets that are radical. Enormous budgets. I mean, we're talking annual spending just in the US alone of over $3 billion in marketing. That changes the way people think, usually to consume more, to be more narcissistic, to be more hedonistic. But, I digress.
Right, well, guys, I'm going to have to go and score some Zeds. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you all, and I hope hope maybe I can make another one of these meetings sometime. I'm often fairly busy, so it's lucky that it all lines up. But you say you do this every Friday?
No, every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, yeah. Okay, well, I will do my best to look out and make some notes on my calendar so I can pop in and see how things progress. But like I say, it's been a pleasure to meet you all and hear your thoughts and opinions on how we can progress this. I'm sure it will progress, which because you can't really kill off an ideology, can you, and a thought, so it will grow. It has been growing. It will continue to grow. And hopefully we can reap some rewards before our lives are over, or at least see the seeds growing. That would be nice, to see that fruit is going to be yielded from the tree.
Well, I work tirelessly to automate everything I can.
Yeah. Well, good luck, sir. Good luck. Now, it's been a pleasure, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day, evening, night. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Ross. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Are you leaving as well, David? Yeah, David left as well.
Yeah. Caracas.
All right, guys. Anything more? Juan, let us know what's going on with your dog. Or is just listening in the background? Yeah.
No, I enjoyed the conversation. I actually have to go myself. I posted a little videos for everyone to share. And again, it's just talking about the moral question that we all have to ask ourselves. I enjoyed the conversation. Look forward to the next one. And thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Juan. Hope to see you next time. All right, guys. Shall we wrap it up for today?
Yeah, it's
try
like
it
1 o'clock here in Sweden now.
Yeah, I know. So, okay. Thank you guys for coming, and see you hopefully in 2 weeks from now.
All right. Nice talking to everyone.
Bye-bye, guys. Yeah.
Bye, guys.